The following is a conversation between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am. The date is April 16th, 2021, and the subject is the emotional aspect of the sacral chakra in the sign of Aries. The title of today's blog is Fight. Me. You told me that you would teach me to fight. Well, I'm ready. I am. Fine. Tell me, what is the most significant fight of your life? Me. I don't know. I am. You should know. Me. Why? I am. Because it is the basis of the great battles that you will have to fight. Me. Well, it's just that I'm not an aggressive person. I don't usually put energy into fighting every day. I try to think that it is not necessary to fight about things. I am. Who said you have to fight or be aggressive to fight? Me. Isn't it the same? I always said that it seemed absurd to me to say, let's fight for peace, or warrior of light, because they are antitheses in themselves, are they not? I am. Yes, they are, but that does not imply that they are not possible truths, or truths that you need to live. Look, we have to clarify something very important in this path of consciousness, and that is where you want to go in it. Me. In what way? I am. Exactly. In what sense? In what direction? The answers we talk about today probably have nothing to do with what some people expect, and this is not because it is true or not, but because of the direction they are headed on this path. People who seek the evolution of the earth, of the human, of the society, must understand the fundamentals of the struggle to achieve their goals. People who watch for enlightenment, to find absolute peace, to expand to the cosmos beyond what is human and terrestrial, they then must learn to let go of the fight as a means, although to achieve it they must go through a battle. Me. Which one? I am. The one from the internal world. We could say that being human, you have two paths. If you wish to work for the world around you, here, now, you must learn what the struggle in the outer world entails. But if you seek to expand, get out of here, enlighten yourself, then the battlefield will be the internal world. Me. You fight outside to be here, fight inside to get out of here. But if the fight implies a battle, then are you telling me that polarity, opposition, confrontation is necessary? How can war, fighting, be a form of spiritual path? I am. To delve into these topics, we will have to understand the origin of the words that we will use. Fight, well, it has nothing to do with fight. Fighting, both in Spanish and English, comes from the Indo-European word peck, which means hair or to comb. This form of aggression is so called because it is related to outbursts in which people grabbed each other's hair and shook their heads. Fighting is literally grabbing by the hair. The fights are an unconscious and animal reaction based on the innate aggression for the dispute of territory or for reproduction. Aggression is a strange word that describes going towards a place, advancing on something, not as a product of a reaction, but by an internal pulse in a hostile way. It comes from ad meaning towards and gressus meaning walk. Therefore, it is the act of advancing towards the other. Its counterpart would be regression, which would be to go back what has been traveled or walked, which gave rise to the word lament, as in to regret. The hostile statement refers to what comes from outside, that is, the foreigner, coming from the Indo-European word gos. It speaks of those who come from outside and are received in a place. Hence words like hospital, hotel, hostel, guest. Although foreigners were not always well received, since sometimes they implied conflicts, wars, and for this reason they were considered hostiles, derived from hostis, strictly related to those who come from abroad and attack a town, a group, or nation. Me. Wow, how crazy to see all this from this vision. It changes a lot. So, what does fight mean? I am. Fight, or in Spanish, lucha, comes from the Latin word luctari, which in turn comes from the Indo-European leug, which means to turn or bend. In English, the definition would be struggle, which etymologically refers to stumbling. Unlike in Latin languages, it implies that rigid thing that breaks, and therefore implies the need to flex to continue. This same Latin etymology gave a fundamental word that expanded to two very different concepts, but related to the two bases of the animal unconscious of reproduction and defense. Me, which ones? I am. First of all, the word derived from leug, which today you know as luxación, or meaning dislocation. Me, the separation of two bones by a sudden force. I am. Yes, that force speaks of turning, twisting, bending, which also makes its connection to the root of something lax, as in loose, weak, or that can easily bend. Thus, it is how the words that define the basis of our animal mind arise: luxus, from lust and luxury, and luctus, from struggle. Me. Luxus referring to sexuality and luctus referring to survival and defense. I am. And can you imagine why? Me. Well, thinking a little sexually, it occurs to me why you have to be flexible in lust. I am. And you think well. Flexibility is fundamental in the sexual act, but also in the fight. To early humans, the outward appearance of a sexual act and an act of defense looked exactly the same, like a twisted situation with bodies rolling flexibly, sweating, screaming, biting. Fighting as a sport in some cultures involved the techniques of coiling around the opponent, trapping him with legs and arms. The males, like many animals today, and many humans still do as well, at the moment of the fight usually bump their heads face to face, pushing each other while looking into each other's eyes. This technique is biologically a remnant of the act of fighting in which animals fought with their heads and even antlers, as well as something used in sexuality. Me. Now I understand those absurd reactions of many men when fighting. It is an animal memory. I am. Yes. But now let's get to what really interests us. The fight, as you will see, does not talk about fighting, but about marking territory, relating to others, and being flexible. Me. You just broke my idea of what it means to fight. I am. It's the idea. To fight, you have to know how to be flexible. Today, the teacher who came to you in the pyramid made several things clear to you, and he did it with your body. Me. It's true, now I realize. He had me stand up like an Egyptian statue, and he would have me flex my front knee to show how to put all the strength forward, and flex my back knee to show withdrawal. But he told me, nobody who escapes fights. The only reason you take steps back, making yourself more flexible in retrogradation, is to regain strength from the axis and be able to move forward with greater force. You only go back to advance more safely, never to escape. I am. The famous withdrawal is to recognize yourself, flexible to do something fundamental. On a mental level, it is called reflect. On an emotional level, it is called tipping point. And on a physical level, it is known as flexibility. Me. Wow. I don't know why this amazes me so much. In my life, I always thought that I should avoid fighting, confrontation, like just putting my forehead against someone else's, that I should flee from conflict, from fighting, because I considered them synonymous with fighting, aggression, hostility. And they are not. Now I realize some situations that have made me silence many times. I am. Like what? Me. Well, I was never a reactionary person, and my first response to any conflict is silence, withdrawal, crying. I consider myself a coward. Maybe it's a defense mechanism that prevents me from acting, saying what I think, expressing myself. And at the slightest external reaction, I feel paralyzed. Few times in my life I have been able to look directly into someone's eyes and set limits, or get angry, let alone fight. My grandmother told me that when I was going to the primary school, one day I told her that a boy had hit me, and she asked me why I didn't do anything about it. And my answer was, so the teacher doesn't punish him. My grandmother told me, "Baby, I don't know if you are very good or very stupid." The truth is that I don't know if it was for being good precisely, but for being a coward because of fear. Everything was silent. So I started to speak before people, but my message was always neutral. I never spoke against anyone because I don't consider myself capable of being against something or someone. I always want to build from point zero, from gray, without black or white, and I believe that responding to criticism only puts us more into that vibration. But now, when you talk about this, I wonder, how long is silence not complicit in allowing criticism to come true? As they say, the one who is silent grants. To what extent will the search for neutrality make us slaves to a reality by living prisoners of our ideologies? To what extent are goodness and neutrality balanced, and do they start to become treacherous of justice? And so now I realize that society does the same thing. He shuts up out of fear of reacting, of losing comfort, out of refusal to fight. We remain rigid, letting the world devour us. Is non-reaction a weapon that we provide to the opposing forces? I am. Reflect. Neutrality only exists in the middle of two polarizing forces. Harmony is only possible in the dance between the positive and the negative. What you seek to achieve in life by becoming a gray man, a coherent man, in the axis, does not make you exempt from the struggle, but rather the center of it. Well, to remain on the axis, it must be flexible. The spinal column is made up of 33 vertebrae since you're born, that is, the axis of your being, which supports what you are, is only capable of achieving its mission by being 33 times flexible. Reflect. Silence is not the key to transformation, but to analysis and contemplation. Without silence, there is no thought, there is no reasoning. Without silence, you will only act by reaction, driven by your subconscious. Thus, the word is liberation. It is letting go. It is transformation. The turning point is that moment when you have asked yourself the question, you are a prisoner of your beliefs of what you should be. In order to transform the world, you must face the rigid patterns of the world, and it will be of no use for you to become one more. Transcending the fear of what you will say is the key to your fight. Me. What happens to me is that every time I have expressed an opinion about the transformation of the external world, there are millions of options that are positioned against others, and conflicts begin, and I have not come to the question. I have come to build. I don't want to put an ounce of energy into fighting to defend my ideas, so I keep quiet. Is that wrong? I am. It's not bad. It's an option. But let me show you something. Your path is bathed in illumination, and therefore your path is written in neutrality and silence, in which the fight is unnecessary. Your royal path is that of the being that seeks the cosmos, and for this reason you naturally live from non-conflict, from proposing instead of decomposing. However, that is what you have come to teach, to educate, but it is not your purpose. That already lives in you, but your task is the opposite. It is coming into this world, looking into its eyes, and reminding it what it must transform. And to do so, you must confront the world. You must flex, bend your knees, bow to the world, and look into its eyes. With what you bring from the other planes, you must face the inharmonious aspects of it. Me, that is to say, take sides. I am. Oh no, just starting from one point. You should never take sides in something that is already obsolete, because you would be fighting other people's battles. Your mission is to fight your own battles, from enlightenment, from neutrality, from education. You don't have to fight with anyone. Your sword is education. Your weapons are words. The struggle is to bring the world to flexibility, to perform the act of reflection, and to bring them to the tipping point. On your knees, the teacher told you today. Me. And he put his rod on my shoulders. I am. Knight of the Blue Maiden, who launches to fight the battle against the dragon. Me. Saint George. It is the message that Merlin said in Montserrat on February 7th, 2012. I am. You, like many others, are the knight who throws himself into battle to free the Blue Maiden, the earth, from the oppression to which she is subjected. And to achieve this, he must face the dragon, the kundalini, his chakras, his energy, his emotions. The first fight that you have to fight lives in you. That fight lives in your body, your soul, and your spirit. What's your little fight? Me. Get up every day and keep doing what I'm doing. I am. What is your biggest struggle in this world? Me. Achieve the transformation of the society according to the evolution of the earth. I am. If you manage to win the smallest battle, waking up every day, you will prove to yourself that one day you will be able to wake up the world. But you must first win this fight of your own. Wake up every day as you expect the world to wake up. Me. I've never seen it like this. It makes sense. I am. Your body asks for flexibility, exercise, to do something new in your day-to-day. Your soul asks you for a turning point. Stop hiding and face from the heart the emotions that you repress for fear of not being accepted. Your spirit acclaims that you reflect. The neutrality that you are looking for is only possible in the balance of both forces of polarity. Your daily fight is everyone's fight. Your little battles will be the big victories. Me. So I must learn to respond, to take my part in things, not to keep quiet in the face of injustices or things badly said or done. I am. Being neutral is not being blind, deaf, and dumb to appear stable, but being observant, knowing how to listen, and pronouncing the right words. The fight, then, is not to curse or judge. The fight is not to silence others. The fight is not to start a war with the enemy. The fight is to recognize yourself empowered by the mission you have, the role you fulfill. The struggle is to say the right words. It is to show the right paths. Passionately defend consciousness, luctus and luxus, without positioning yourself in the rigidity of a posture, but in the flexibility of joint learning. The first thing you must defeat in this fight is yourself. Remember, all hostility coming from the external world is not an enemy, but a different point of view. Starting the war with a different point of view will only lead to senseless slaughter. Me. Many have told me not to listen to criticism, to follow my path as if it didn't exist, not to waste time responding. And I have that same opinion. Tell me, what should I do? I am. You will only lose energy when you give yourself completely to the battle when responding, considering it the focus of all action. When you consider that whoever makes the judgment must be transformed and corrected, you will be losing the battle. However, when instead of responding to criticism or conflict, you respond to the world, your words will be nourishing for others. Me. I'm not getting it right. I am. The fight of a wise man is not with an individual. The fight of a wise man is to educate the world in his example. Silence is sometimes the best response of a wise man. Silence is his weapon in the fight of the inept. The words of a wise man become weapons to educate the apprentices. Sometimes the war of an individual becomes the peace of a people. Me. By this you mean that when things like judgments, criticism, responses, struggles happen, it should be responding through education and teaching, but not wasting time convincing the adversary, but rather educating those who listen. I am. That's right. Learn to use the energy of the true fight, and you will win the battle for consciousness. What were the 3 keys to the struggle that you must carry out in your life? Me. Reflection, inflection, and flexion. I am. Breathe, and like every day, start your fight. Rise up, night of consciousness. Wake up and wake up the world.